Hi everyone, I'd like to share with you today how I make this textured thing with rust and patina effect, and it's really easy, and it's with things that you already have, nothing no expensive mediums or expensive materials. So to demonstrate it, I'm going to work today on this thick cardboard, and you can do it in your art journal. I'm just going to do it on a cardboard because it's easier for me to when it's finished. I'm just going to attach it to a cover of a journal or a notebook. I haven't decided yet, but once it's finished it will be glued down to another surface. Like here, I don't know if you can see, but this is also a cardboard that I worked on and then glued it to this cover that I made. Now I also did this side, almost the same, but with this effect with the pipes, and I will explain about it also. So let's just before I move it aside, the pipes is very easy. It just straws that have this folding thingy, and you can do a very elaborate pipe work. You just play with it, and to connect to, you just fold a little bit of the end so you can insert it to another end like so, and of course it doesn't work right now. Here we go, and it's in, and you can do whatever you want, and you can chop it off wherever you want and do elaborate maze with it. So that's the thing how I've done this. Now the patina and rust effect is very varied. You can play with the colors and whatever you like better. So I'm going to start with this stencil. I know that most of the time when we are doing this kind of effect, we are going for the steampunk thing, and I've used here this stencil with the gears and cogs, but I'm quite fed up with the steampunk for right now, so I figured let's do the same effect but with something else. So I've got this stencil, and if you want to work on something like that on a cardboard and you don't have anything like this, and this the only thing that I tried to look in the internet how it's called in English, but the only thing that looked resembling this was something that was called gray board. Never mind. But if you do want something thicker, you can take a cereal box and do it on that. And because it's not thick enough, this is a cereal box, and if I compare it to this, it's like half of it. So what if I wanted to use this, I would just fold or make two pieces that are alike, glue them back to back with the glossy side inside, because it's just terrible to work on the glossy side and you have to sand it if you want to work on it. So it's easier to just take two pieces, glue glossy side to glossy side, and then you have a thick board, and it doesn't cost you anything except for the cereal box. So moving on. So I've got my feather here, and let's just put a little bit of masking tape just so it will hold in place. I'm always terrible with this kind of stuff, don't know why. I'm using joint compound. It's cheaper than modeling paste. If you have modeling paste, by all means use it. And I'm taking a palette knife and just going over and I'm putting quite a thick layer in the hopes that I will have a more defined texture, because I want the rust and the patina, well, the patina to go in the grooves, and so it will be more defined. I've got some bits and pieces of dried joint compound, but move them aside, and just a little bit more here, and here, and as I said, not great at it. And lifting. So we've got the feather, and just so you know, I already done another one like it, because I want the both sides of my journal or notebook that I'm going to attach this to are going to be almost the same. Now I'm moving this aside for a minute. I'm going to scrap the rest, and put it, what I can take out I'm taking, and then I'm going to clean my stencil. Never leave your stencil with modeling paste or joint compound or whatever you are using. So most of the excess, got rid of it. And I've got another one here. I should have done it on another paper and made the most of it. Never mind. So these two are going so the only thing else that I want to add more texture to this cardboard, and you can do a lot of things. You can take another stencil, put other elements on. You can take bits and pieces, if it's buttons, all kinds of embellishment, and stick here whatever you want. If it's the straws, if it's other pieces of thick cardboard. You can even put jessel in a very thick layer and make marks on it. So options are endless. So here is the one that I've already done, and what I've done here, I just cut pieces from sanding paper in the hopes that it will give me more texture. But I've got the texture of all these graphic shapes, but the sanding paper not so much. I think the glue eliminated most of it. So, but never mind, I still like what I have here, and just so you won't feel left out, I will show you what I've done. I'm taking, here is a sanding paper, and what I've done, I've just started with a shape like this, the longest one that I could make. Started cutting, and now just went with the same curve freehand and made the same shape over and over again. And then just started playing with the placement of these shapes. So that's what I've done. Now we've got this and this. Next step is to jessel everything. Now when you're doing this the jessel thing this step, I advise to be very gentle about it. Now there isn't any consistency in jessel. Sometimes I buy it and it's almost thick as a modeling paste. Sometimes it's runny, almost like milk. I don't know why. So be gentle with it. If it's really thick, be gentle, because you don't want it to fill all your grooves, all this, because it will hide your work. So if it's okay, just start as is. If it's too thick, add a little bit of water. Be gentle even with adding water, because you don't want water. You want coverage without eliminating all the texture that you have on the page. So right now all I'm doing is just going over and getting inside everything and making sure that I don't have a thick layer that will cover my texture. And sometimes it's just easier to go with the movement of the shapes. Doesn't always work. Just need to be patient and cover everything. So this is going to take some time but it's worth it. And I also go over this with jessel. I think it just helps the consistency of the other layers that are going to be on top. But just as I said, just make sure that you don't clog all your all this pattern. You want all the crevices, you want the texture. So I'm going to continue, wait for it to dry, and then I'll come back. I'm back. So this is now dry and now becomes the plain. You can use several shades of brown. I alternate, it depends what I want to do. I've got here burnt umber by Deco Art, burnt sienna, Deco Art. I've got some raw umber from something local, from my cheap store. It really doesn't matter. It depends only what you like and what kind of color you want to have, how dark you want it or how light you want it. So what I'm doing now is taking a little bit of paint, and if it's a thick paint, again, watch out not to clog all your texture on your page. So I've dipped my brush in water because this is really thick and I want it to spread more easily, and as I said, I don't want to lose the texture that I have. And I can now add another and just play with it so it won't be the same color all through. I find that it's better to alternate the shades. It becomes more interesting, more dimensional, and less plastic. Best explanation I can give you why I'm doing it. And I also blend between the shades of brown. And of course, if I think I have too much in one place, then I will just add and change the color. So there is no other technique to it. It's just putting down paint and making sure that you like it, of course. For this technique, it's better to use the deco art that are more runny, but I also want the darker color, so that's why I'm adding it and trying to mix it with the two others. And I'm pushing the paintbrush so I can put, so the paint will go to all the places, all this texture that I have on the page. So right now it all looks kind of mess, but it will take shape. And sometimes, because we have white gesso underneath, sometimes we just need another layer. If you've got black gesso, it's also an option, but here it's hard to come by and it's more expensive than the regular white gesso, so most of the time I won't use it on a big piece like that. So everything is covered and I'm just tapping on places that I think need a little bit more and that I've got too much white showing through. But basically this is it, and now this needs to be completely dry before we are moving to the patina effect that is going on top of it. So I'll be back. I'm back. So this is mostly, I think, dry, but before we are moving to put down the effect of patina, I almost forgot that now is the step for metallics, and I'm going to use bronze and copper to add interest to this and to the effect of rust. I like to mix the two when I'm doing something like that. Again, it's more dimensional. When you are only using one paint, one color, it looks like plastic. I don't know why. So I'm just going to brush again with a hard bristle brush, just on top, so it will pick most of the texture I've got on my page. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I will bring it closer to the camera in a minute. I'm dry brushing on top. And when you're doing it, this technique of dry brushing, it's just to pick only the texture. Then you need to move against the movement of your elements. If I've got elements going like this, I will go like this, so it will pick highlights, pick the texture. I don't want to color them, just want to accentuate can't pronounce it, the texture. I just wanted to pick the texture. And even if you're doing this and you don't like what where it went, you just grab again the browns and go over an area that you think didn't work well. So you can fix it. It's not something that you get stuck with. Okay, so that's the copper. Moving this aside, now I'm taking a little bit of the bronze and I'm just smearing it here just so I won't have too much, and again picking up the texture. I don't know if you're seeing it, but it highlights everything. Now this is to make a rust and patina effect, but basically this technique can be used with other colors. You can paint everything with any color you want, and you can pick the highlights with silver. You can play with it and do many interesting things. Yeah, I think this is it. Maybe a little bit more here. And sometimes I will also add where I don't have texture, where I think it just adds to the whole composition. So like this. So now for the patina, use any kind of turquoise and all kinds of blue that you have. I've used tropical blue by Deco Art. I've used dark turquoise by Deco Art. This is something from the cheap store, and I find that it's better if I'm mixing it up with a little bit of white. I don't know why, but then it looks better. I've done many experimenting with this technique, and it just works better with itty bitty drop of white. So really a very a small amount of paint. Now I've got the turquoise, I've got the white, and now I'm just going to mix them with a little bit of water. We need it runny, so when I'm putting it here, it will run into all the crevices. And I'm feeling that I need more white. And this is just my preferences. If you wanted your patina darker, go for darker. The same with the browns. You can just mix and do whatever color you prefer. Okay, that's better. I just need it more watery. And here we go. And spraying. Now, if you want, you can control it. If you don't, just put wherever it is, wherever you want, spray it, and where it goes, it goes. Depends only on you. I'm just letting it move I'm putting it in several places that I want it to go, and spraying. I hope you can see it. And other way around. And of course, if there is a place that you don't like it, you can always take a baby wipe and dab it and remove what you don't like. And if you have too much of this patina effect, you can always go back to the bronze and copper and brush over and make it more pronounced again. Now it's just playing until you are satisfied with what you got. I'm letting it go all over so it will move. Okay, so I'm just going to work on it a little bit more, like where I want more of this patina effect. As you can see now, I'm just getting in where I want it, so I'm controlling it now. And now it's just time to let it dry, and when it's dry you can see what's happening and where you want to add something. You see how I'm going with the shapes to make them more pronounced. Now if you don't like the spraying, you can just do what I'm doing now, taking the blue into all the crevices and making it more pronounced. So I'm going to let it be. I need it to dry before I can see if I need to work on it more. So I'll be back. I'm back. So I've finished with putting my patina effect where I wanted it, and now I just want to go back and add a little bit of copper to several of the places. I want to pick again more of the highlights from the texture. So I'm just again scraping with a dry brush over the texture, and this is completely up to you how you want it to look. I want my texture to pop up more, so I'm just going over gently where I think it needs just a little bit more. And if I think I have more bronze in some places like here, I'm just going over a little bit with the copper where I want it. Completely up to you. So I went over my texture here with the copper, and now I want to add the bronze to the section here with my feather. So again, taking a little bit and picking up the texture. I'll bring it closer to the camera in a minute. Basically, this is it. That's the technique, and you can play with it. And only one more tip: if you really want it to look like rust, especially if you are doing the pipes with the straw, then add to your acrylic paint something like glitter or colored sand, things that you can buy in, well, I buy it in the cheap store. It's in the crafts for kids section, so it's cheap. This is the colored sand. Don't know why it's for kids, don't care, but it's cheap, so I add it. And before I had this, I just had any kind of glitter, and it just doesn't matter where you buy it. I add glitter to the acrylic paint, and then it has a more sandy texture and more and looks more like rusted pipes, at least if you are doing the straws. So basically this is it, and again I'm just going over places that I think need just a little bit more highlights. Yeah, this is it. Here we go. And of course it's up to you. You can do only rust, you don't have to do the patina, and just play with your colors and do what you like. So this is it. I hope you liked it. Thank you for watching, and thank you for leaving me comments below. I'll be seeing you in my next video. Bye for now.